We found out that we just weren't really that compatible in other very important areas.
The road to love is exciting, funny, and sometimes can even be heartbreaking. But in the end, it'll all be worth it. Join me on my journey to love.
Hey everybody, it's LaRonda and I am back with another video, and today I want to talk about vacation romances. Now, I'm kind of in the mode now of my life where I'm looking for something a little bit more serious. And so I always go into everything with the sort of the mindset of, I'm not looking for a fling, not looking for just something temporary or something to do while I'm away on vacation or whatever. So I never go into it with that mindset. But sometimes, you get into a situation with a person and it ends up being just that, sort of by accident. So this is the story of one of those situations. So while I was in Philadelphia just this last month, doing some things that I needed to work on in Philly, I met this guy who was also traveling in Philly for the first time, and he was from Seattle. And so, we met on Bumble, of course, because that's where I meet all the men. It seems like most of the men that I meet on Bumble. So we met, and we met up at this little restaurant. And, in Philly right now, there's a lot of restaurants that have sidewalk seating and all that kind of stuff. So it's really nice. And you can, if you're feeling a little iffy about COVID and all that still, you can meet somebody and go to a sidewalk cafe or restaurant or whatever and eat there. And we went to this really nice one that had sort of like Asian fusion cuisine. It was really good. And so he suggested that we get the tasting menu, which is like where you get all these little samples of all types of food. So the only caveat that he had is that he's allergic to shellfish, but everything else, we let the chef sort of decide what we would get. So every dish that came out in each of the courses of the meal was a surprise. Now, the other thing that I want to point out is that this was not a cheap thing. The tasting menu was like something like $60-something per person, which for a first date is a pretty hefty sum of money, right? So of course, in my mind, when he said that that was what we were going to order, I'm thinking to myself, maybe he's going to eventually ask me to pay for something, but okay. So every meal, every dish that we had was really delicious. We had a lot of conversation throughout the whole meal. We had some nice, interesting drinks. I mean, they had drinks where you put smoke in the glass and pour the other part of the cocktail in, so it had like a smoky flavor. Just different stuff that I hadn't really experienced a lot. I'm not a huge drinker, but the food was good, the drinks were good, the conversation was good. We had fun. So we ate all the courses. We left there. And then we walked around the city a little bit, talked a little bit more. He told me about some of the places in Seattle. We talked about some of the historical buildings in Philly and, the differences between the two cities. And of course, because I'm more familiar with Philly than he is, I could share a lot of things with him. So even though I'm not necessarily from there or whatever, and we were both kind of touristy because, when you've been away from a place for so long, a lot of things have changed. But anyway, we went to another restaurant, had some more drinks and a little bit of dessert. And by the end of the evening, we decided to make plans to see each other the next day. And so he had asked me, he's going to a wedding or something, and he had asked me about picking out some nice sandal type shoes for this beach wedding that he was going to. So I was like, yeah, that's something we could do tomorrow. I can take you to this place that I know about. We can go there and see if we can find you some shoes or whatever, because I like fashion. I like shopping. So I was like, okay, let's do that. So we went the next day and went shoe shopping. And although we didn't find any shoes, we had fun just kind of walking around the store, looking at the different shoe options, making jokes about the ones that he or no one should ever wear, and all of that kind of stuff. It was just a cute little fun date. We didn't find anything at the first store. We went to another store, didn't find anything there either. And so we just decided to say, okay, he'll just use the shoes that he already brought with him, and we would go and find some cheesesteaks. So, of course, when you're a tourist and you've coming to Philly, you want to find, all the different places of cheesesteaks that people say are good or whatever. So I took him to my favorite cheesesteak place, which is Pagano's in, what do you call it? West Oak Lane, I guess it is. So I took him to my favorite place. We saw they've got like really good, interesting characters in the place that gives you a really good feeling of what the restaurant is like. So, sometimes it's not just about the food, it's also about the character of the people that work there. So there was a lot of chatter and talk and conversation and jokes being made and stuff like that. But we got the cheesesteaks, went to a little park and ate the cheesesteaks and just talked and all that. And it was really nice. Like, I felt like I was able to, have a conversation with him, open up to him about things. Sometimes it's difficult to really feel comfortable sharing things with people that you don't really know. And with him, I didn't really feel that way. So that was what I thought was really nice about that date. And so once the mosquitoes started biting and stuff, we got in the car and talked a little bit more. And, we shared some like intimacies or whatever. Like, I mean, we didn't, I'll leave it at that. And then I gave him a ride back home, back to his place where he was staying. And we had made plans to see each other the next day as well. So by now, this is our third date. And so the next day we met up, went to another cheesesteak place because that's his thing. He's trying to hit as many of them as possible, and I'm fine with that, So we explored a couple of cheesesteak places. One we ended up not getting anything from because he was leery because the guy that was making the cheesesteaks didn't have a mask on. So we got one at one place. We enjoyed that. And then we went to another one that didn't hit. And so then we just went back and hung out together for a little while for the rest of the evening. And, even though, like, I knew that there was a possibility that I wasn't going to see this guy again, just because of the fact that he wasn't from here, not even close, like across the country. I wasn't going to be in Philly anymore, starting in a couple weeks or whatever after that. And so, you never know, but I'm always open to whatever the possibility of whatever situation could be. But anyway, I took him back to his hotel where he was staying, and we basically parted ways that evening. And he was going to be driving up to North Jersey to do his wedding stuff with his best friend or one of his friends that he was going to their wedding. And, you never know if you're going to see somebody again or what they're really open to, as far as long distance and stuff goes. And I mean, there's a little bit more to the story that I don't really feel comfortable sharing all over the internet. But, what I want to say is that, I want to remain open to all possibilities. So even in cases where, a lot of people kind of shy away from, if you're talking to somebody and they're a tourist or something, you don't really want to get involved with them because you're not going to see them again. And a lot of people kind of feel like, well, what's the point? But for me, it's like, you know how I feel. Maybe you do, because I think I've shared it on here before. Is like, I don't want to box myself into just the people on my 100 by 35 mile island, because the world is so much bigger than that. There's so many more options of people that I could be compatible with. And if I box myself into, the few million people that are on this island, half of which are probably women that I'm not, and, women and kids, So obviously I'm not going there. So like it makes my options smaller anyway, is what I'm trying to say. So I've always been one to be open to whatever and whoever crosses my path. If I find some interesting thing about them or something that I can enjoy about that person, I'm definitely going to dive in head first about it. You know, and if it works out, great. If it doesn't, I had a great 3 dates. I enjoyed my conversations. I enjoyed the time that I spent with him. I enjoyed, you know, everything that we did together. I mean, we went to cheesesteak places that I had never been to, and I lived in Philly for like 15 years and never went to some of these cheesesteak places that he wanted to go to. So it was fun. It was an adventure. And even though, you know, we haven't chosen to stay connected or anything like that, I enjoyed the time that I spent. So I guess I say all that to say, you know, I don't see anything wrong with vacation romances or flings or whatever. As long as, like, for me, it didn't start out that way. It didn't start out as being, you know, something that I wanted to do as a fling. But what ended up happening was, you know, we found out that we just weren't really that compatible in other very important areas. So, you know, it wasn't going to work out. So, but it definitely wasn't something that I started out with that in mind, that, you know, we were going to just be a fling. But, you know, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed my time with him. And so, like, I'm just going to be open to whatever comes my way. But sticking and staying true to what I know I'm looking for and what I want the most. So anyway, it was a good time. And I hope I haven't bored you with this story. But anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video. If you like the video, please don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button and leave me a comment. Let me know how you feel about vacation romances and flings and, you know, situationships, or, you know, let me know if you met somebody on vacation and started a relationship from it, because I have actually done that. Like, I had a whole marriage and child from a relationship that started on vacation. So that's, I think, the other reason why I'm so open to it, is because I know that it has happened and can happen. And whether or not it eventually works out in the end, or whether you stay together for the rest of your lives or not, that relationship is definitely going to make an impression on you and be a part of who you are going forward. Like, having that kind of thing happen to you changes you, no matter what the ending of it ends up being. So anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Happy dating, everybody. Bye-bye.